This this is the Impressions Exchange Podcast.
Impressions Exchange Podcast.
Where all topics impacting the graphic imaging and printing industry are addressed via in-depth news coverage, analysis, and timely interviews.
Hi, I'm Denise Gustafson, Editorial Director for Printing United Alliance, and the guest host for the special Printing Impressions podcast series in celebration of Women's History Month, highlighting women in the printing industry. During this series, I'll have the opportunity to talk with women from all segments of the industry about their experiences and their journey as a woman in the industry. Today, I want to welcome Rosemarie Breske Garvey. She's president of Blooming Color. So Rosemarie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. To get us started today, can you tell us a little bit about Blooming Color and about what you do as its president?
Absolutely. So the story starts many, many years ago. We were founded originally as a Minuteman Press franchise in 1988. So 36 years ago at this point in time with our original partners. They did a wonderful job in the 90s growing that Minuteman Press store to the largest in the franchise. There were about 1,200 at that point in time worldwide. Have all the plaques on the walls, hitting all the sales milestones. So we'd always been kind of birthed in quick print. And I tell that part of the story because today we are an API-driven technology integrator. We work primarily in the e-commerce space, and having those single-day SLAs started all those years ago when somebody would pop into a Minuteman Press or ours in Naperville in Illinois and say, "Hey, can I have this thing tomorrow?" And we would be like, "Yes, absolutely." The answer was always yes, and that is really where we've continued to grow into today. Fast forward all those years later, we're actually in the process of taking out our last offset press here at Blooming Color. We are all HP Indigo on the press side, 3 B2 presses, 2 of the smaller series presses. We do some wide format, but our focus really is in automation and API direct integrations with our clients. And so we're very fortunate to have had some exponential growth. Obviously, when things changed in 2020 and e-com took off, we did as well. We've not stopped looking back since. We got into e-com all the way back in 2015, and it's just been full speed ahead. So it's great. All the card products you can think of. We do on-demand books of one. It's just been an incredible ride. And last year was our biggest year ever. So here we are, ready to make it the biggest year ever again.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm guessing now, looking in the rearview mirror, putting in that e-commerce part of it in 2015, leading up 5 years before we were hit with the pandemic, was probably one of the best ideas you guys ever had, right?
Well, you know what? We can't take all the credit for that. There was a client that had come to us. They were looking for Indigo providers in the United States. They were coming to the US out of Europe and were looking for partners. And so what they really afforded us the ability to do way back in 2015 was to learn how to scale. As they grew their brand in the United States, we were doing 10 orders a day, 50 orders a day, 100 orders a day. It was almost an afterthought, right? Because these are small orders of 50 greeting cards, 100 business cards. And at the end of the day, we would say, did all of that get done today? Like it wasn't even a focus because we, at the time, were still, while we were quick print coming out of this Minuteman space, we also had a big percentage of general commercial work as well. And so fast forward all those years, because we had the ability to learn how to scale that way, that is what really set us up to be so successful in 2020 and in the years that have come since the pandemic. Because now today we ship thousands of orders on a regular random Thursday. And in peak season, we're doing 7,500, 10,000, 15 orders a day. It's just been such a ride. It's been awesome.
And it's amazing how much it's changed because you said you're getting rid of your offset press before you're looking at really, really long runs of, one really long run versus thousands of small runs now.
It's true. And so the ability with the automation, and I think you'd asked earlier, I apologize, that really is where my focus is day to day. I oversee our programming, our automation, all of the integrations, that kind of thing. And it's just been not only a fantastic learning process for me and team, but it's been really embraced by the entire plant because when we're doing something or we're on the bindery floor and they're looking at a process, they're like, how can we do this better? How can we do this more efficiently? And that really has been a change over the past over many years of the entire team. Everybody wants to do more work in a more efficient way. And so it's been a mindset shift because you remember the days it used to take 2 weeks to do a print project? Like I can't even, right? So very different, but our team has really embraced what this new way of doing business is.
And it's probably really exciting for your team as well to be able to actually see that whole shift.
Yeah.
Within what, a decade, really?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we've got some really wonderfully tenured employees here. We've got folks who've been with us for 10, 20, 30 years. And so for them to be a part of that evolution has just been phenomenal. Our focus now, we've done a ton of work on the front end automation side, and now our focus is really automating everything else in the bindery process. So introducing JDF into the bindery process, making sure that folks are supported when they're learning something new, and realizing, like, I know in the world, we talk about a lot about AI and robotics these days. That does not replace the people that work here. That helps them do their jobs in a much more efficient way. That part of the ride we're just getting on, but there's a ton of excitement around it.
AI is a really good tool, but you can't replace, in many instances, you can't replace the people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right.
So how did you get started in this crazy industry?
So I was a commercial banker.
That makes perfect sense.
I mean, clearly, right? Isn't that the path for everyone? Actually, my story is even kind of a little stranger than that. I actually went to school originally. I was a music major. I studied vocal performance. I wanted to sing with the Metropolitan Opera Company in New York when I was 18. By the time I was 20, I knew that wasn't going to happen. And so I added business and I added political science to my wonderful liberal arts degree I got at Millikan University in Decatur, Illinois. And from there, really had a business focus after that. My summer and winter job when I wasn't in school was working at a bank in my hometown, and I would come home and I worked in the commercial loan department and would file and would do some work in that area. And when I got out of school, my dad passed away rather unexpectedly. And I said to my boss then, I don't want to be a teller, I want to lend. And so he put me through credit training right out of school. I became the youngest lender the bank had had at that point in time. And I had a wonderful first career. The manager I had at the time was an incredible mentor to me. And what always has stuck with me, and now obviously I've changed industries, it's not really about what your degree is in. It's not really about where you come from. It's always about, are you teachable, and embracing those opportunities that come your way. And he was instrumental in that for me, taking this girl who studied opera and all of a sudden was a commercial banker. And so as that career was going on, I was still in banking during 2008 with the financial crisis. As you might imagine, banking was not as fun after 2008. So there were some changes that were happening I did not love, as again, I think anybody would tell you from that time frame, no matter what industry you were in. And the group that I'm with now, obviously here at Blooming Color, my now business partner, he and I were volunteers in a local community organization. And he said to me one day, I'm kind of looking for somebody to come in who doesn't know anything about print. They wanted to overhaul business process. They wanted to overhaul client experience. And that really kind of fit what I did at the bank. I was running a team at that point and with that as the focus. And so I jumped, knowing nothing about printing or any kind of offset or digital or what that meant. As far as printing worked at the bank, I hit a button on my computer and it came out at the copier. Like that was all I knew, right?
Yep.
I learned a ton. It'll be 12 years ago this year that I came to Blooming Color, and it's just been a wonderful ride. Again, all of this growth that's happened, embracing the change that's come along with that. We've hired some incredible talent who, again, background didn't really matter. Are you teachable? How do you interact with people? Are you a good team player? All of those things have been instrumental in how we've built the team here. And again, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's just been such a wonderful growth experience, not without its challenges, to be sure. But we're building something pretty special here, and it's really cool to have the privilege to be a part of that.
Yeah, recently I was chatting with another owner of a print shop. I think it was actually on the wide format side. And one of the things that he says is you don't hire necessarily for experience nowadays. You hire good people.
Yes, absolutely right. Absolutely. And we say it maybe a little bit differently. We don't hire for role, we hire for skill set. Same kind of thing, right? And that has just been tremendous. And we've had some wonderful people step into some wonderful roles. We've done some great promotions internally of people who have been with us. And again, I'm really proud of this team. I think you're probably going to hear that a lot during this conversation today, but we're really, really proud of the work that they do every day. And so are they.
So your transition into this market must have been clear sailing, no problems, right? That's exactly what happened, right?
For sure. Absolutely. I can remember, I was just telling the story the other day, sitting at my desk at that Minuteman Press over in Naperville and being like, I'm not going to make it. Like, what did I do? This was a huge mistake. What do you mean there's like an infinite number of papers. I can't. And it literally was just kind of one day it all kind of clicked, right? And I really liked selling. I really liked the web to print side of our business, selling the kind of the portals that we had at that point in time. And again, as the company evolved, so did with it the opportunities that we got. So to come into e-com, to learn about what it meant to batch, to build automation so that, we get thousands of orders in overnight and no one actually touches them, right? Removing pre-press from a process. All of that has just been phenomenal. And again, our legacy employees that have been here with us for so long, to have them see that as well and see these light bulb moments that occur today. And for everybody to say, how can we do that better, has been awesome.
Now, commercial printing, even small commercial,
Mhm.
there's a lot of men there.
Yeah. Yep.
You obviously have a really strong personality, so that's going to lend into how well you're doing. But how challenging was it for you to come from the banking side
Mhm.
into an industry that's now manufacturing, that's now very, very heavily male, and
Mhm.
you're a woman?
I really consider myself fortunate now being in this industry that I came from banking, because banking was the same way. I was the only woman on my team for most years. I remember even when I worked at the bank in high school and would walk over after choir practice, you had to wear a skirt on board meeting days, right? I mean, those kind of things happened in my lifetime. And so I got to learn from a really young age kind of about what it meant to be a woman in that business setting. But I'm also really fortunate to have had really great mentors. And I don't say that for it to be, oh, I'm so lucky, or this is what I think is probably representative of every woman's journey, especially in either banking or in print. But I am a firm believer in put your head down, do the work, and prove yourself. Nothing is given, it's always earned. And I would say that's probably where you mentioned the strong personality. I'm not really a shrinking violet, so I'm not sure if that helped or hindered. It probably depends who you asked. But it was something that I felt very firmly about. And as I was learning and growing, I was just always very grateful for the opportunities. But I always, always, always just didn't want to lose sight of the focus that you do the work. You do the work and you prove yourself. And again, I've been fortunate to be in positions now where I had a great mentor at the bank. The gentleman who's now my business partner was also a great mentor to me. And I really hope that if my team would talk to you, that they would say the same thing. It's been important to me to promote the women here at this company internally. Our production manager is a woman. Our bindery captain is a woman. They're phenomenal people, wonderful work ethic. They lead great teams. And I don't say that to say that they were promoted because they were women, but at the end of the day, you and I just talked about skill set, right? What does
Yep.
that look like? That's what we're looking at.
So you've mentioned mentors, that you had a mentor in your career in the bank side. You had mentor now on the print side. How
Mhm.
important was it for you and for your growth to
Mhm.
have those kind of mentors helping you along?
I think it was instrumental because I think everybody deserves the opportunity to feel like they have an advocate, someone who's looking out for them, someone who sees something in them, right? Again, my background obviously is not traditional. And I think that they recognized in me something, again, whether it's work ethic or whatever else that I was fortunate or demonstrated, I guess, in my career. I would encourage everyone to seek that out. If there's someone who you align with, because maybe it's work ethic, maybe it's whatever, but if it's something where you click with someone or they have a skill set or they have a trait that you admire, to talk with them about that. Be open to those conversations and be open about the fact that maybe you need guidance, or maybe there's something else, maybe you're in a career that you don't love, and maybe there's something else that you want to do. Mentors don't have to be in the workplace. They can be in service organizations. Again, that's where I met my business partner today. They can really kind of come from all over, but I really feel strongly that everyone needs to have an advocate, but that you also need to advocate for yourself. If that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. It's a combination of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Mhm.
can't expect everything just to come to you because you're there. I mean, showing
Yeah,
up is a big part of it. You have to show up,
for
you have
sure.
to do the work. But
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, isn't doing the work also kind of the minimum, right?
Mhm,
That sometimes I would challenge my team with that a little bit. So
exactly. So now have you had the opportunity to turn the tables and mentor some within your staff?
yes, I always feel weird about talking about being a mentor at the same time when I'm like, oh, I had mentors and they were so important to me. Yes. And I think specifically of our bindery captain, who I mentioned just a few minutes ago. She's been with our organization for a long time. She's got a lot of skills. to recognize that and to see her work ethic and kind of push her a bit out of her comfort zone into more of a management role. She's learned a ton. She now manages our temp team during peak season, where she's managing 40 temps who are only with us for 6 weeks. And she is sharp and she knows names and she gives direction and she is respected. And this is the same woman who said to me not that long ago, before we got into this crazy e-com space, I just want to do my work. I just want to do my work. Right. And I'm so proud of her and what she's done, because she's been transformational for our company in the space that we're in today.
And people can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, you said you have a lot of long-term employees, so
Yes,
they've seen her
absolutely.
growth and
Yeah,
seen the possibilities.
absolutely. And as we add people to our team, we talk about what the path looks like at Blooming Color. Is there a path to management? Is there a path to more? Is there a path to greater skill set? And the answer is yes to all of that.
Mhm. How important is it to have women in those positions of leadership? So yourself, of course, but then you have other team members or team managers. How
Mhm.
important is it to have women in those positions, especially because it's still kind of like an old boys club in many cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's incredibly important. And I want to pause and say not just women, but diversity as a whole. I
Mhm.
think that is really, really important. And when I look across organizations and they're just homogenous and everybody looks the same, that doesn't work, right? Maybe it's
Mhm.
comfortable or it works for them, but I think that diversity as a whole brings background, it brings different skills, it brings different thought, and you have to have that in a growing organization, because that's where these best ideas come to light, is from all of these different points of view. I feel very firmly about that.
But how do we get more diverse voices? That I think is the biggest challenge. And I know we're not going to solve that right here
Yeah,
and now.
in this call today, absolutely. No, it's true. I think a couple of things. One, it has to be top of mind, but I also think that it's dependent on leaders to build that culture. Because if you don't, you just fall into the same patterns of those who have come before. And I think we have to keep talking about it. No one is going to make change today. No one person is going to do that. But whether it comes to an industry wave, or it's doing more things like this and talking about it more and making sure that it stays front of mind, you're going to have the people that get tired of the conversation. That's not who we're talking about. That's not going to matter eventually. It's about building teams and empowering people to make sure that you have skills and backgrounds and everything that matters as the focus. And I just think it has to stay front of mind.
It does. And it has to be more than just, oh, I have this
Mhm.
checkbox.
Yep.
Yes, I've
Yep.
hired someone
Mhm.
that's of a minority
Yep.
status. It has to move beyond just checking that box. Like we talked about before, it's the skill set.
Yes.
It's those other pieces that are important. And sometimes the package that they come in doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter at all, I would say, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, through the industry, you've talked a lot about automation. There's been a lot of technological advances that your
Uh-huh.
company's even been through.
Yeah.
How has this helped the women in the printing industry,
How has the automation helped the women?
or even technological advances?
Hmm.
I don't know if it's something you've thought about.
I don't think it is, because I really think of automation as kind of the propeller for this boat that we're all in, right? And so I really think about that more as a team perspective. I don't think I've thought about that strictly related to women.
Or even digital versus offset. How
Mm-mm.
has that transition for your company
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
been a way that women can do more?
Hmm. Well, I would say in our company specifically, when we still had more than one offset press, it was always men that ran the offset presses. We had female and indigo operators. So is that a difference? Maybe. Would that have happened if we were strictly an offset plant? I don't know. I don't know. You've given me some good things to think about as far as I take a look at the tech and the automation and see how that might have made a difference for women specifically. We just talk and we focus so much about the team rowing in the same direction and making sure that everyone is heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really just more goes back to, we have a wonderful team regardless of your gender or anything else. Are you heard? How do you contribute? What is it for the good of the company and our clients?
It's interesting what you said. Your offset were pressmen, the lead press
Mhm.
operators were
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
I wonder if part of that is also just the nature of the job because it's a little bit more physical.
Maybe, but you're still throwing paper when you're putting it in a B2 press, right?
True.
I don't know. I really have to give some thought to that, I think. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. You need to get people thinking.
Absolutely.
So, moving back to what we talked a little bit about at the outset,
Mhm.
you have a strong personality.
Yeah.
That can be good and bad
Uh-huh.
because obviously there's stereotypes with regards
Mhm.
to women with bigger personalities.
Yeah.
They might have certain words that they might use to describe
Yeah,
them.
that is true.
It's sometimes tough to work around some of those stereotypes, whether you're talking about an aggressive woman.
Yeah.
Same thing that a guy does is not aggressive. It's just he's a
Mhm.
go-getter. It's interesting the terminology that gets thrown
Mhm.
around or used based on gender. Is
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
something you've kind of seen a lot of? Is it something that's going away
Mhm.
that you've observed?
So I will tell you, I think it's going away in certain organizations, and I'm proud of it that that has been the case here. As I've grown through both of my careers, I've seen a lot of that, right? Especially women in support roles in the banking industry, and then women in support roles in the printing industry. I'm a champion for loud voices because mine is loud. I have been on the opposite end of some of that sometimes. Again, the certain words that you refer to. Well, I would like to think that it is better. I think it's another case where I can't speak for all women just because the circles I've been fortunate to be in, or segments of these industries I've been fortunate to be in, because I've been able to be loud, I would like to think has enabled other women to be loud.
Hmm.
And I know I can't speak for everyone when I say that I think that it's better. I'm probably
I
privileged to be able to say that today.
How can we empower more women to be more confident in some of the roles that they're in? Even if it's not a management role, maybe it's something else, but how can we encourage them to do that more?
I think that the number one thing is confidence in self. Confidence in self. If you know you are right, if you know that there is a better way, if you want to contribute, even because you think that there is a better way, I think that it has to be that confidence of self. Because if you are in an environment where either that kind of mentality is either not rewarded or just plain out not heard, then that can be difficult. And so then I would say I would probably encourage women to seek out more opportunities like your organization, like the D-Scoop organization that I'm fortunate to be a part of. And I know those things are industry related, but then I would even go as far as, again, service organizations in your community. Where can you hone your leadership skills outside of your workplace to then take those leadership skills back to your workplace? Community service was a large part of my life, and I think that that has impacted my ability to speak and to lead today. So maybe it's really about looking at opportunities, again, not just that are for the workplace, but places where women are encouraged to be heard and listened to.
Mhm. So for you, networking and community involvement is really a key to some of your
Mhm.
success professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. It's how I found this career now in printing
Yeah.
from bank. That's certainly for sure. Again, we've mentioned my personality is kind of big. So I just I like to talk to people. I consider myself a genuinely curious person. And so I like to learn about you and your story and what you do. I know not all women are like that, but if you could find something else where you could channel some of this energy, I think that again doesn't have us all mired down in the workplace day to day. I do think that those outside outlets, for lack of a better term, are really places where you can find some pretty incredible personal growth.
And there's a support system there because in
Absolutely.
some cases there might be some other people going through similar
Mhm.
situations.
Mhm.
How are you
Yeah.
dealing with it? How are you working through it?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, by stepping outside of your normal work day interactions, right? It kind of helps you be not as myopic with your viewpoints, right? I think that can totally be a value.
So looking ahead, obviously we've seen big changes in the printing industry in terms of more women have entered the industry.
Mhm.
What do you foresee as we're moving forward? Do you see more diverse voices entering?
I do. And I'm really pleased to see that a lot. I mentioned D-Scoop just a little bit ago. I'm really pleased to see that there. I think a couple of things. The organizations like that are industry specific, but D-Scoop's obviously related to a certain kind of technology. It's a very forward thinking group. So that's incredible. What I also like is even on the high school level locally, and I would probably speak for probably multiple communities in this case, it's not just STEM education, it's STEAM education. And so talking about how careers in the graphics arts industry as a whole are very much related to STEAM, right? So girls who code. There's a ton of coding jobs now in printing, right? I mean, we employ programmers and all sorts of automation folks. I think that the opportunities here are really just, I wouldn't say just beginning. Clearly, this is an age-long industry, but the advancements that are being made are so quick now, and the clients really demand so much more of us and how we deliver print, that those opportunities really are endless. And so when it comes to women, it's not like, oh, if you're going to work in print and you're a woman, you're a graphic designer. That's very much not the case anymore, right? So I'm really pleased to see a lot of curriculums on the high school and the junior college and the college level really start to look at the graphic arts industry and how many more opportunities are here in all phases, from pre-press, post-press, all of it, right? That's pretty encouraging.
It is. And I think that's one of the struggles that this industry in general is facing, is where are we going to get those new people? Like you said, coders, it's something that we would never have looked at years ago.
Absolutely.
Maybe we wouldn't have looked at bankers either as
Yeah.
people that could be coming into this industry.
Yeah. But it all comes
But
back to skill set, right? I think as long as we continue to focus on that, the degree you got, what career you had before, are you teachable? What's your contribution? And do you want to be a part of a team that is doing something cool, right? For lack of a better term. Yeah. And there's a lot of that in the graphics arts industry. There really is. So
like I say, the printing industry, I think, is the best kept secret.
yes. Having been in an outside industry, I would totally say that absolutely today.
Because
really
people don't understand what is involved behind that piece of direct mail or that billboard or whatnot, that there's an entire industry of millions of people that are employed by it.
Absolutely. And now to really extrapolate that even further into the e-com side, when you say, oh, did you order Christmas cards this year online? Oh, you did? Oh, okay, cool. So that's a technology company, and they work with manufacturers like us to actually make the thing that you just sent out to 50 people, right? And the light bulbs that occur, even still in my interactions with even friends who know what I do for a living, and they're like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. So I think the constant re-education of the consumer is ongoing, really. It's not junk mail. This is not, this isn't what we do for a living. There's all sorts of stuff that goes into it. So
yeah, like I said, print is ubiquitous. It's everywhere, which means that people don't see it anymore.
Correct. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
But then when I walk people through their day, I'm like, if you had cereal and milk this morning, what happens to a package?
Right.
You can't not have a package. I mean, what would you put the milk in? It's kind of stuff like that, just starting to think ahead. And people are like, oh, you mean I touch this and I touch that? Yeah.
So it's true. It's so true.
But they're just so used to going about their day. I mean, imagine walking to a grocery store and none of the packaging had printing on it.
What would you do? I know.
How would you find what you needed?
Right.
Well, I know the package is usually like this shape and this size.
Oh, really? Okay. And is that barbecue or is that, ranch dressing? We don't know. I mean,
no idea.
right.
Or, is that sour cream or is that yogurt? Not really sure. But it is, it is so interesting. It's the best kept secret, but then how do we get that secret out? When do we start reaching out to those young folks? Is high school soon enough? Do we need to start earlier?
It's definitely earlier. And from some of the reading that I've done, obviously, and I'm sure you're familiar with this too, the changes in generations and how they interact with a tangible printed something, right? I feel so old now when I say this. I just think I'm still young and fun, but maybe not. You think
We're always young and fun. Don't worry about that.
Thanks. You think about the generations that are now in school today, they have only ever had a tablet in their school classroom, right? And they go home with the tablet and they go to dinner with their parents and they have the tablet, right? And so this whole, I would say even last 2 generations now, that's all they know. And so there's so much data out there about the fact that those younger generations want something tangible. They have screen fatigue. They have email fatigue, if they even use email anymore, right? Because now it's all what's in my hand, what's on social media. And so what happens with that? Well, these big mail houses that are doing all these printed pieces, all of those are multi-channel campaigns, right? Because there might be a printed thing that's coming, but there's also a TikTok, and then there's something else, and then they get served the ad, and the algorithm does its thing. And so I think it's not so much that, we have to get the younger generations involved. As you read, and what the data really is saying is that those younger generations, they're almost begging for that at this point, and they don't even know that, because if you can just get that screen out of the hand for like a second and put something else in it, it matters. They'll buy. Absolutely.
Good luck with that, though.
Right. I don't have kids, so it's probably a lot more difficult than I probably think it is.
I don't have kids either, but just observationally,
Yeah, right. It's like this all the time.
yeah, they're always heads down, stuck in their phones
Yeah,
and
right.
in those devices. But yeah,
Mhm.
but then put a direct mail piece that comes to the house and it has a soft touch to it, or it has unique die cut. That's
Yeah.
something that really opens their eyes.
And that
This is
opens literally. Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the whole Gen Z and how they buy, right? They're now the youngest generation with dollars to buy something consumable. Yeah, it's making a huge difference. Absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see where the industry goes and
Yeah.
how those now younger generations are pulled into print from
Mhm.
ways that we never even thought of.
Totally true.
So wrapping up, this is my favorite question, and I end all of these podcasts with this. So knowing what you know now, so looking back on your career, obviously it's kind of like you've had a twofold career, in banking and in printing. What advice would you give to yourself if you were starting in the printing industry right now?
I would say keep your eyes open, keep your head down. You have no idea what is coming next.
Hold on for the ride, huh?
Right. Absolutely. It's just going to accelerate from here.
Well, Rosemarie, it was an absolute pleasure to talk with you today.
Thank you so
And
much. I really
I
appreciate it.
I think we could go on for a whole lot longer. So I'm going to have to call you back and we're going to have to do another one of these at some point.
That sounds good. Couple of big personalities on the same call. We can chat for hours.
And it's always fun and we'll always learn just a little bit more.
Absolutely. Thank you
So
so much. Great
thank
talk.
you.